Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the online breakfast by the Shortcut. Very good to see you here. And as the audience is gathering a little bit, I will introduce today's event and our topic and our speakers. So if you are joining for the first time, the Shortcut is a non-profit organization. We're impact driven. We're owned by the Startup Foundation, and we focus on professional integration in Finland. We help people find a meaningful job or start their own business. And these shows, online breakfasts, they usually help to upskill either in job search or in entrepreneurship. And today's topic is more on the entrepreneurship side. So today we have with us Lauri Hynynen, who is a product lead at Matchmade and also is on the board of Startuplifers. If you have not heard about Startuplifers, it's an organization that helps to go to Silicon Valley to work in startups there. But without further ado, presenting Lauri. Lauri, please say a couple of words about yourself and your background and your career.
Thanks for having me. Super. Looking forward for the chat. Super briefly about me. Nowadays leading the product and engineering at a startup called Matchmade. We're building this influencer marketplace. So if you're a YouTuber and you want to find sponsors for your channel, then we help you do that. And also then if you are a brand, let's say like a gaming company, and you want to find YouTubers to promote your game or product, then we also help you with that. Leading the product and engineering there. Kind of my background in general, I would say kind of combination of startups and engineering and product. So I used to be like in the very early days of Slush and AutoYes, involved there or organizing the events and and so on. Did few startups of my own. Then I've also been to San Francisco or Silicon Valley through the Startuplifers program. That was an amazing year. And after that I joined Smartly as one of the early engineers there, which we then left with a few friends to start again like our own startup. And after that ended up at Matchmade. So yeah, startups and startups and engineering and product.
Sounds very interesting. Thank you, Lauri, for the introduction. And to everyone listening, also please welcome to network in the chat where you are joining us from. And if you have any questions to Lauri, please share them in the chat and I will take them later. But to the topic of today's event, so we were thinking about this Silicon Valley mindset that we hear so much about in the startup world. And I wanted to ask you, like, for you who has firsthand been there and worked there, like, what is the difference? What is like the main aspects of this mindset?
That's a good question. I think there's always this maybe like perception that like people in Silicon Valley are kind of the startup kings, or they are kind of startup geniuses who know everything about startups. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think maybe the biggest difference is indeed about just the kind of mindset that kind of the ambition level in that, like if at least like traditionally here in Finland, we've been used to thinking about starting a business that it's kind of something fairly local. If we go international, then we expand to Sweden, uh, or if we're very adventurous, then to Germany. But kind of contrasting that to the Silicon Valley mindset, where from the get go, you're trying to build something that's kind of world class, the best in the world, um, which turns out is as easy or as difficult as building the kind of Finnish local startup. So I think that's probably the core difference. There's no difference in skill or smarts or anything like that, but it's just kind of how high you set the bar.
Hmm. This is very interesting to hear. And for us at the Shortcut, so we have some entrepreneurship programs. So we have now in spring run entrepreneurship model as part of our Spark Academy. And then previous years, we have this Be Your Own Boss program that help people to open their business and basically get into this entrepreneurship mindset.
Mm,
So these are very interesting things to hear. And also that it's not that different. It's not like something unreachable. So
mm,
this is very interesting to learn. And also I wanted to ask, so I don't know what year have you been there, but I assume it's been some time. And I wanted to ask if this has changed in Finland too. Like, would you say that there are now companies in Finland to startups who have acquired that mindset, and is the
yeah.
startup changing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I was there in 2013 and later then later than in 2016, I think. But yeah, definitely, I think that's changed a lot in Finland over the past, let's say, like over the past 10 years. So kind of what Aaltoja slash Shortcut, kind of what the ecosystem is doing, I think is changing that tremendously. So definitely the kind of notion that you start a local company and then expand to Sweden, maybe that's kind of a little bit of thing of the past. But now we have many new companies who are kind of going global and uh, world class from day one.
Would you name some names?
Uh, there's so many. There's so many. Of course, you have all the Smartleys and Waltz and amplifiers. Well, Unity nowadays. Matchmade is of course one. That like there's nowadays so many of them. Uh, I think like I could name all the startups I know, but that might not be super interesting.
Yeah. Yes, good to know some names, because also in our community we have people who want to work in startups, of course, quite many of them.
Mm.
So they are looking for these companies that already have this integrity and
Yeah.
good places to work. Yeah. So a little bit digging deeper into this Silicon Valley mindset, if you will.
Yeah.
Would be interesting to hear a little bit about attitude to failure. So we already heard about attitude to success, like aim high and sky's the limit. So, but what is the attitude to failure? Like, what is uh, what is the attitude to making mistakes in creating your business?
Yeah, I think this is probably another thing that has changed in Finland in the past, again, let's say like 10 years. But like at least like 10 years ago in Finland, it was very frowned upon to be the kind of failed startup entrepreneur. But well, contrasting that to Silicon Valley, where it's kind of a trope that you need to have 7 failed companies before you can finally finally make one successful one. So kind of failure being kind of a merit and like a learning opportunity. Uh, on one hand, I think that has changed a lot in the past years in Finland, and I think also one thing that's interesting about failure comparing like Silicon Valley and Finland is that of course failing is difficult and like not easy anywhere, but in in the States in a way the stakes are much higher in that like Finland we have like really good safety nets in place, so you can't really fail that hard. Whereas then in the States, you end up on the streets if you if you fail your company and you mi- mi- miss your rent or something like that. So in that sense, Finland is actually, I think, really good place to try and fail and learn.
Yes, this is actually very good to hear, and I agree. I think that before maybe to try and
Mm,
go out there, I think Finland startup ecosystem is a very good place to at least start.
yeah.
And yeah, I agree that there are like funding mechanisms and other things in place that
Mm,
help us to not to be afraid of failure. But I think the main thing here is this like general attitude, because I remember when I was like back in the day in Turku School of Economics, we had this like
mm,
first entrepreneurship events, and people were talking a lot about the Finnish word yrittäjä, which is
yeah.
like entrepreneurship, which basically means like trying or
Mm,
trier, and
yeah.
it's a little bit not a very optimistic term, but I think it's good that attitude is changing, and also there are many success stories
Mm,
clearly.
yeah. Yeah. I think the success stories are also super important role models in that people can see that it is possible to also like both try and then succeed.
Mm,
Also from here in Finland.
right. Then my next question would be about leadership role. So we as we know, startups, especially in the beginning, are usually very small, flat teams. Like here in
Mm,
Maria 01, we see people like, with laptops, sometimes two, three of them
yeah.
in the beginning. So what is the like leadership role, especially in an early startup, and what have you witnessed there in Silicon Valley? Like what is a good leader of a startup nowadays?
Uh, yeah, I think in in an early stage startup, it's kind of and kind of as the company grows, it's kind of tricky balance between kind of being being super hands on, like for me, for example, like writing code myself and just kind of getting my hands dirty and building the product. And then kind of learning to let go of that and focusing more on the leadership and so on. I don't know if there's that much like if there is much difference in much difference in Silicon Valley and Finland. But also my Silicon Valley experiences are from like super small companies. Like when I was there through Startuplifers, it was me and my or like the founder of the company and then myself. So and Cole was a great leader, but it was still kind of this two people building the product. So there was maybe still majority of the effort being spent on well building the product and not so much on not so much on the kind of team leadership stuff. I think at the early stages it's maybe more focused on one hand like finding people who share the vision and then kind of communicating communicating the product vision and so on.
Then how about the later stage, like as the startup grows?
Uh, I mean, on one hand, like like it's still the same. So, for example, at MatchMed, we're now 25 people, so we are still on the smaller side, smaller side. But maybe kind of one difference I've noticed is that it's kind of for us starting to shift more on kind of communicating the vision, and hiring is still there, but also then kind of figuring out systems on how to scale without kind of the leaders always being there.
Sounds very interesting. Looking forward to see what MatchMade does, and also to follow your story.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
me too.
yeah. Yeah, wanted to ask you also. So we a little bit covered already about like fail fast and fail is okay in the beginning, but still, what would you say are like biggest mistakes made by startup entrepreneurs that you, for example, would avoid if you knew in the beginning?
uh, well, for one, like at least again something that's improving here in Finland as well. But I think we're all still, or at least I'm always guilty of this mindset that I'll build a great product and then people will come. So maybe like still the number one mistake is focusing too much on the product and too little on the customer side, and kind of validating whether the product is something anyone actually cares about. And as a startup entrepreneur, it's difficult because you probably would want the product yourself, but maybe maybe the market doesn't agree with you. I think like that's one one common failure pattern. And another one is probably just which is super difficult to avoid or to get right, but figuring out the timing for your company. Like I think most startups are building amazing products that solve an amazing need, but they are a few years too early, or then a few years too late. So figuring out the perfect timing is probably the biggest thing you can get right, but also super difficult. I wouldn't know how to really go about that other than trying to get lucky.
Mm, yeah. Good to know, and especially like when you're in the early stage, like what to be prepared for. And then a little bit from our from our shortcut perspective, as we have these programs for like very early early entrepreneurs. What in general do you think, like when people think like, can I even be an entrepreneur? Like what does it make? What does make a person capable of this entrepreneurship path? It's like very romanticized now in a ways, but also known as a little bit crazy lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
what do you think makes you capable of being entrepreneur?
uh, it's a good question. I mean, I would imagine that anyone can become an entrepreneur, uh, but of course, as you said, kind of it's maybe a little bit romanticized, and kind of it's less about less about kind of doing high stakes deals and kind of social network, or like less like in the movies or in TechCrunch, and more about uncertainty and hard work and kind of banging your head against the wall. So maybe someone who becomes an entrepreneur, it's a good idea to brace for just lots of grind and lots of rejection and lots of lots of sort of uncertainty and yeah, kind of good to have the sort of mindset that you don't give up on the first try, but kind of always get up and just go on and continue trying after another or after one attempt and after another.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds very interesting. I hope that our future entrepreneurs are taking notes. Yeah, and then also, of course, like talking about funding and like maybe finding your first funding. We have recently with the Spark Academy, we had like first round of pitching of their ideas here at the
Nice.
Shortcut, and many of them will, of course, hopefully continue and like go to like more serious stages of pitching, looking for funding. And what would be your advices for that, like getting your very first funding?
uh, well, I think like maybe the first piece of advice is to just like have a solid business and solid product and solid customers. There's I mean, there are probably ways you can kind of hack and fake it till you make it and so on, but uh, still, the best way to get funded is to have kind of good foundations and good fundamentals, and then kind of actually have people to want to fund you or invest in you. Uh, yeah, maybe another kind of lesson, at least I've learned, is that many people, again, like many people may maybe go into fundraising mode thinking it's kind of somehow like a battle between or like competition between you and the investor in that kind of you need to somehow trick them into investing you, and then they are kind of trying to not get tricked. Of course, people are trying to not get tricked, but kind of realizing that it's you and the investor are actually sitting on the same side of the table. Like
Mm,
most of the time, they actually do want, like they do want to find good companies to invest to, and they do want you to be the kind of their next hit investment. So and they want you to help them understand that. So kind of yeah, going into the pitching also from perspective that it's kind of you're there helping the investor, as opposed to yeah, somehow trying to hack the
trying to
system.
trick them into giving
Yeah.
you money. Yeah, that's a good attitude to go by.
Hmm.
Sounds
Well, I
sounds
mean, after all, like after you get someone to invest in you, then you are working with them for the next, I don't know, at least like 5 to 10 years. So it's maybe not the best start if after writing the check they realize that yeah, I was tricked into doing this.
Yeah, we had earlier this year we had online breakfast with Reima Linnanvirta about angel investors, and we had this quote from him that it's easier to get out of a marriage than of a startup investment. So
Yep.
yeah, it's tight bond with the
Yep.
investors. I think especially the first one.
Indeed.
Good to have a good relationship from the start. I'm taking a look at the comments. I don't see any questions so far, but some comments, and this actually made me think about something to ask. So we here at the Shortcut, we are quite good on preparing marketing people, and we have digital marketing and growth hacking trainings going on. One is going on right now as part of Spark Academy. Again, working here at Maria01, we have noticed that many early startups, they have marketing function entirely missing. Either they outsource or some other ways they do this. So what do you think about marketing? Like, do all startups need an in-house marketer? And what is the role of marketing in startup success?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of, or at least in my head, it kind of falls into the, like we talked about, what are the biggest mistakes that the companies make, and kind of focusing too much on the too much on the product and less on the kind of problem and the customer side of things. And then yeah, indeed, many startups don't have the dedicated marketing person, but also then like I would kind of just bundle marketing and at least in the early stage company, I would still bundle marketing with all the kind of all the other customer related activities. Like marketing is also such a broad term that, like, do you have someone doing like paid advertising, or do you have someone doing brand or product marketing, or like what kind of marketing? So probably in an early stage company, it's still more of a generalist role. And then as the company grows, then focusing more on growth or brand or some like specific area.
Yeah, normally in the beginning it's like one person doing all the marketings. Very often you can find, and
Yeah.
then it grows. Yeah. I will show like something from the comments here. Erkan, for example, is saying one way to take care of marketing is to outsource it within other startups or trading companies. That's true also. It's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. Reminding you to send questions to Lauri in the chat. We still have some time to take them, but I will then use this time to ask still some of my own questions. So then marketing and sales dilemma is usually like another thing that is talked a lot about. So we hear a lot about sales working separately and marketing working separately, or then opposite, if it's like one department or one person even doing both again in the early stage. So what do you think about that, and what is like the ideal balance between sales and marketing? How is it at Match Made maybe?
Yeah. Of course, it's one of those questions where there's probably never a perfect balance, but only different trade-offs. But yeah, I guess like especially in an early stage company is kind of the more the more the more it's the same kind of same people and people working together. Like, let's say in the same team, as opposed to having like a separate marketing team and a separate sales team. Kind of the better. And of course, then you need to add product to the mix as well, in that kind of the company is selling, marketing, and building the same thing, and everyone kind of agrees that what that thing is. But for example, at Matchmade, so we have wait three people, no four people in sales, and then one person focusing more on more specifically on marketing and content and so on, and kind of everyone everyone working together and creating this kind of feedback loop that like marketing helps to produce materials and content and kind of packaging everything, and then sales goes and sells, and then again provides feedback that hey, this works, this is what we hear from the customers, let's adjust the packaging and so on a little bit, and then rinse and repeat.
Sounds good. Looks like this is working for you in your case. And
Yeah. I mean, I think in an early stage like especially in an early stage or any company, it's super important that first and foremost, people are still consider themselves to be part of the or like part of the company, as opposed to kind of the specific team or role that they are in. So no one no one at Matchmade really says that yeah, I'm primarily sales at Matchmade or I'm primarily marketing, but we are at Matchmade, part of the Matchmade team, and I think like that helps us to avoid a lot of the kind of sub optimization that people I don't know sell some shit that they shouldn't be, that's not really good for the company, but that's good for them personally. So kind of making sure that everyone's aligned with the first and foremost aligned with the company, and then maybe secondarily then with their own like the functional team they are in.
sounds very interesting. And now was interesting for me to hear that in 25 people company there's one marketer. It's yeah, it's a little bit unusual, but I think it's a very good one then.
Yeah, Petter is a really good one. But also of course like it doesn't mean that he would be the only one thinking about marketing or like doing marketing. But it's kind of something that everyone also pitches in.
As it often is in the teams, like the teams are more like flat, and there's like
Yeah.
no silos, no like different departments that have nothing to do with each other. So that's how it usually is at the startups. But if you need like junior marketers, we're training some talents. So just
I will keep that. I will keep that in mind.
yeah,
Absolutely.
just a small shout out to our training programs.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you always like I have sometimes this stories like startup stories or success stories with founders. So if you want to share maybe like any real story from this or your previous and startups for us to a little bit get a taste about it, like maybe something funny happened, not necessarily a success story, maybe something funny happened or unusual.
There's so many there's so many stories, of course, but maybe like one still like one of my favorite stories is from my from my smarty times, kind of something that we also at my like at my other companies or since then can try to embody in the spirit, but at Smartly, especially in the early days. So we had lots of like engineering folks also attending customer meetings and actually like doing doing the sales as well, and kind of the way it worked in more than one occasion that I would be or some other engineer would be in a customer meeting with someone kind of like some salesperson, and then there's a customer request or they ask like do we have this or that feature, and then I as the engineering guy would kind of nod to my sales buddy that, hey, keep talking for 5 minutes, and then would grab my laptop and quickly quickly type some stuff, and yeah, we have that feature, and basically like building features new features on the fly.
On the go.
I think my record is like a new feature in new feature live in the tool in like 4 minutes or something like that. But I think like it's oh, of course it's not applicable to everyone, but I think that was still like like, and that doesn't scale forever. Like of course later on, or for example for us at Matchmade now, it would become a mess if everyone would build these quick features on the fly, but still kind of the spirit that being very customer focused, and not just that there is like sales doing sales and marketing doing marketing, and then product doing product, but kind of everyone working together.
Yeah, this is exactly kind of stories I hear sometimes, and yeah, I think it's very impressive, 4 minutes, and then we have yeah, again, like shout outs, we have like full stack development module of the academy starting in fall, so now open for those, so for those who want to learn to be like that, to be like Lauri, welcome to the programs.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think we have any questions. We're going to be wrapping up. But if you still have some questions to Lauri or Startuplifers, I think it's. Is it okay, Lauri, to follow you on LinkedIn? And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, it was a pleasure to talk to you. I think these stories and also like a little bit digging into this mythical Silicon Valley mindset are very good, because it kind of shows that all of this is possible, and you don't have to go away from Finland to achieve that.
Yeah,
We already have it here in Finland in some companies.
yeah, absolutely, and it's not a coincidence that we have that, but it's kind of the work that you at Shortcut and like everyone in the community are doing. So I think it's really really making the difference.
Mm. Good to hear. And just as I said that there are no questions, there's like
Oh.
some questions, so let's take this one. So Johanna is actually from our Spark Academy, so yay.
No, nice.
Nice to see our alumni. Johanna is asking, what are the qualities that the team or the founder in a startup should have, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I think like maybe the biggest or the most important quality is that they themselves kind of understand the problem that they are that they are solving, and that they are passionate passionate about the idea and the business and so on. that there's this sort of like a idea founder fit, in that if you're not interested in the idea or the business, then no matter how good of a business, or like how much money you would be making, or how much impact, if you're not interested in that yourself, then there's no way that you're gonna be able to do it full speed for the next 10 years. So that's probably like the biggest, or the most important quality. But of course, then, like, yeah, having well-rounded skill sets, that the team can kind of, that the early team can execute on the on the idea, and be it kind of both actually like building the product, but also then, yeah, getting it in front of the first customers, and not falling into the trap of just building it or just pitching it, but having like all the different skills there. But still, the most important would be just being excited about the idea and the business itself.
Yes, thank you very much for the question and a very good answer. Yes, I think also that, like, in addition to all the tips and tricks and all of that, it's important to believe in your idea, and then you like, find the ways to, and people to
Yep.
implement.
Yep.
Yes, thank you everyone very much for today. We have shared some links in the chat. Please follow the shortcuts, Matchmade and Startuplifers, and myself and Lauri on LinkedIn. Our next event is in 2 weeks. It's on the 25th of May, and next time we will be talking to Suomen economic about unions, use of unions in Finland. So, like, totally different topic, more on the employment side, and hope to see many of you there. Thank you very much, and have an excellent Thursday. Thank you, Lauri.
Thanks for having me. Great chat. Yep. Cheers.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.